Hello friends, how are you guys? The next that we have in our arsenal is Diamine Cult Pens Bilberry ink for fountain pens. So the next few inks that we have is like more like the person name kind of inks, which are definitely going to be pigmented. So let's check it out. So we have our tools ready. So without wasting any time, we'll open the bottle and then let's get the ink swab and then we'll compare it with all the other inks that we have in the arsenal. So suddenly our arsenal is looking big because we have got 32 inks from Cult Pens in these 12 ml bottles. So this 12 ml bottle I find is perfect if you want to check or start a hobby, and that is how these inks are, and then it helps you check out all the inks and everything, and you can experiment with it. And 12 ml is a perfect size to start. So let's dip our glass dip pen and then we'll write the name as well as write some sentences on our human rights journal as well, which is kind of an ink log that we have done. So this is the second copy that we have been using. So this is how the ink looks like, Cult Pens Bilberry. So let's check it out. So this is Diamine Bilberry. So meanwhile the ink swab is getting dry, let's bring our copy, the human rights journal that we have here. It's ready to be written. This is really pigmented ink. It feels like darker versions of violet. So earlier I was using purple and violet like same name, but now I have identified that there is a difference between the violet and the purple. So that's why we bring you, when we are comparing multiple inks, we bring you other inks, other colors as well, so that your eyes can get better understanding, because sometimes our eyes gives us some kind of not the right representation. Our eyes also made us fool sometimes, because in terms of identifying the color and all that stuff. So this particular ink is looking like more like violet. So violet is different from purple, as I told you already. So this is how it looks like on the paper, darker version of black, but it's not black, it gives you a shading of blue as well. So that's why it's like in between, and that's why it's called violet. So this is how the Diamine Bilberry ink looks like on the paper. So meanwhile this ink swab is getting dry, and we'll bring all the other inks that looks like Diamine Bilberry. So this is how the Diamine Bilberry ink looks like on the paper, and it's a darker version of violet for sure, and it's really nice ink. It's pigmented. If you like pigmented inks, that ink that glow on the paper, this is something of the same thing without the kind of shimmer or sheen. Though it has little bit of sheen, but then it's only in the darker portions where your ink flow is much more higher. If you don't want the ink to don't look like blacker versions, then you can always use a thin nib based pen like EF or F, and if you want it to look like darker, then you use the bolder nibs. So this is how the Diamine Bilberry is. Now let's compare it with all the inks that we have in this particular color. So this is our Diamine Bashful Blueberry. So this is basically very lighter pastel version of this particular ink is what I feel like, but it doesn't have any kind of black or something built into it, so we cannot compare. Next one, just to showcase or to tell your eyes the little bit difference between the violet and the purple. So this ink can be called towards the purple kind of ink, but this is violet. So purple will always have little bit of red. That's what. This was Yamabudo. The next ink that we have here is Pelican Violet. So this one also will be not exactly the violet. This will be much more like a purple shade because it has red in it. So moving further, we have the Mon Bordeaux's hat. So now in Mon Bordeaux's hat and Bilberry, you will see that there is very subtle difference. There is a color difference as well. So this is more like purple, and this is more like violet, is what we can identify now. And then in Studio Nitrogen, Organic Studio Nitrogen is one of the nicest ink I have. but it leaves your pen or something very dry, and it has that chemical reaction, very strong ink. So you should always take care when you are using Studio Nitrogen. So this is how it is. And then in case we have a normal Carcos Violet, you will see that Carcos Violet is like little bit blue kind of ink, whereas Bilberry is strong, very strong. And then we have the Diamine Violet as well. Now you will see that between Violet and Bilberry, you will have some kind of sheen here. In Bilberry, it's a pigmented ink and it's much darker, or 2-3 shades darker than the Violet. So Violet is the base, and then they have built up this Bilberry. So that is what I feel about the Bilberry and Violet. Then next one will be Azurite. So the Azurite and Bilberry has very less differences between the same. It feels like they are almost the same ink. But then there is very subtle difference that on the paper you won't be able to identify unless you are using some specialized papers to test the same. So to me it's like more smoother as compared to the Diamine Bilberry, but both of the inks are like almost the same. So now we will showcase to you all the 3-4 inks that matches this one, so that you can make your own opinion about the ink as well. So here we have 6 inks that we just showcased you one by one, but now everything is in front of your eyes so that you can make your own plan as to how this Diamine Bilberry is different from the others. So as you can see, this Pelican Violet is totally out of league, so moving it. Then we have this Mon Bordeaux's hat as well, which is totally different, so keeping it aside. Now we have to focus it only on these 4, and then if you focus in these 4 inks, you will see that between the Diamine Violet and Bilberry, this is darker version and this is lighter version, whereas the Carcos Violet is totally different ink. This is nowhere the real color as well, so we'll take it out. And then the next we have to compare these 3 inks now. So between these 3, you will see this is the lighter version. Then you have Diamine Bilberry and Tamiya T53 Azurite, which is almost the similar ink. But then do let me know if you can find some differences between these 2 inks. But to me this is much more smoother, and this is like a little bit of sheen as well in this one. The sheen also is like not red or something of that sort, it's the sheen of the same color. So that is how the Diamine Bilberry ink looks like. So do let me know what are your thoughts about the Diamine Bilberry fountain pen ink, and if you will use it, or do you like it or not. Do you like the darker pigmented inks, or do you like the pastel inks? So which ink is your favorite amongst all the inks that we have showcased to you? We are only left with the 8-9 inks that we have left, and then those are all named inks, named after people name, and those are definitely going to be much more pigmented in the days to come. So don't forget to share and subscribe to my channel. We are very near 5,000 mark, and with your help we can cross 10,000 as well. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.